we are suffering from the last administration's literal war on cattle. One of their favored programs is now in the eye. 186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits, 500,000 people getting more than two times the benefit.
I have a few clips lined up for us to look at of Brooke Rollins on Fox News attempting to gain support for the second round of MAGA attacks on food stamps that is incoming from all talks like this, right? So if you can, take a moment, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. We're really trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, and let's get right to the breakdown with all fact checks ready.
186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits, 500,000 people getting more than two times the benefit. So they're getting it in one place and then they're getting it in another place. The same person. We found thousands of individuals that were getting benefits in 3 to 4 or 5, 6 different states. I mean, it is one thing after another. And this is just from the red states. Can you imagine when we get through litigation and we get that data from California, New York, Oregon? We know under Biden the program increased 40%. Of course, we believe they were trying to buy the election by pushing more and more money out without any accountability. So this is what we're trying to bring under control.
This comes after Trump announced that everyone on food stamps will be forced to reapply if they want to keep their benefits, which puts more paperwork, more administrative overhead, which, as we've discussed multiple times, acts as hurdles that prevent some who qualify from receiving aid for no valid reason. Think of it as like people racing on a track. If you put one obstacle on the track, some amount of the racers aren't going to be able to get over that obstacle, even if they're still qualified for that race. So what you're doing is you're allowing less people to get to the help. A couple things should be noted about food stamps when we have this conversation. There's not actual proof of this fraud that she's claiming. It seems food stamp fraud is pretty rare, and food stamps as a program actually makes the economy money. So it's not like, oh, it's so fraudulent and wasteful. For every dollar spent on food stamps, it stimulates the economy over $1.50 up to like around $1.80, I think. And only around $6 a day in benefits are sent to the average recipient. So it's not really like an amount that is ripe for fraud, like that big $6 gain a day from ripping off the system. And given the cuts we also saw in the One Big Beautiful Bill for MAGA, this just seems like talking points to get more support behind a move to further cut the program and pull millions more off of it.
But what the shutdown did, that sort of unintended consequence of the Democrats shutting down the government over the last 43, 45 days, is that one of their favored programs is now in the eye of the average everyday American who says, this is not okay. Go fix this. My taxpayer dollars should not be spent for this sort of fraud and abuse, and taking it out of the mouths of families that really need the program. There are vulnerable families in America that need this program.
I thought it was funny that she says that, which is patently false, but there are families who objectively will be able to not receive their food stamp benefits because MAGA cut them off the program to better fund rich guy tax cuts. But you love the irony of them blaming it on other things and the Democrats or whatever. You also have to love how the talking point is to add in oh, well, the Democrats did it by unintentionally shutting down the government, as if like, oh, let's make it political. Haha, Democrats messed up. So bad, dumb, their fault, right? When we should be clear about like what this means, right? Children will be going to sleep hungry because their parent cannot stock their fridge. Only MAGA supports this. Schools will be unable to administer free lunch programs to the same capacity, leaving many kids hungry at their place of education. Only MAGA supports this. Veterans will be forced to rely on food banks. Only MAGA supports this. The elderly will have to choose to use their Social Security checks on rent or groceries. Only MAGA supports this. But like, yeah, guys, how sick and funny is it that MAGA is attacking food stamps because the Democrats wanted affordable health care?
The idea that we won't get prices down until 2027, I think there are a couple of important factors here, Maria. The first is this, that we are suffering from the last administration's literal war on cattle. If you remember, they wanted to reduce the herd sizes because they believed that cattle caused climate change. I mean, that wasn't that long ago that was sort of a common narrative. So lots and lots of issues there as we rebuild the herd based on the devastation of the last administration's policy.
This is actually mind-numbingly stupid, and I want to briefly say I love that the word literal doesn't mean literal to these people. It's just a word for dramatic effect at this point. But also, it's a literal fact that cattle do contribute to climate change. Like, we actually have the dumbest people in the world in charge of our government. But Republicans, conservative politics for you. Cattle aid or drive climate change through a process called enteric fermentation. Methane is essentially, because a greenhouse gas is essentially built up in them through like their digestive tract from what they eat, where they then release it through burping and farting in simple terms. But like, again, these people campaigned on Democrats are stupid and that's why we have these problems. So outside of the fact that they seemingly don't know what climate change is or what drives it or anything about science, yet they want to defund scientific research, they said they'd be able to reverse these effects. So why now, 10 months in, are they still blaming the Democrats and saying, well, it's their fault, not ours? You said you could fix it. What happened to that? Nothing is changing. It's almost as if they don't have real solutions and they just point the finger to get elected.